Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunati Ravanachari Yamunati Ravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Kodanitai Maya Poshashi Kodanitai Maya Poshashi Jaya Kodanitai Maya Poshashi Kodanitai Maya Poshashi Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 ISKCON Govinda Ki Jai. Shalom, Prabhupada. The last instruction. So today it's also the day that Srila Prabhupada came to the USA. USA. Is there anything in there? Okay, I'll read from that then. So, Srila Prabhupada, after a 35-day journey from Calcutta, the Jaladuta reached Boston's Commonwealth Pier at 5:30 a.m. on September the 17th, 1965. The ship was to stop briefly before proceeding to New York. The most significant thing about Srila Prabhupada's short stay in Boston, aside from the fact that he had now set foot in America, was that at Commonwealth Pier he wrote a Bengali poem entitled Marking Bhagavatam, Teaching Krishna Consciousness in America. Some of the verses he wrote on board the ship that day are as follows. So it must have been early that he wrote it. If he landed at 5:30, he must have wrote it very early in the morning. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me, but I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Like Sankirtan, isn't it? It's like that Sankirtan feeling. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So, if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fill the real purpose of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar. H.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladi to Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18 September 1965. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 3, Hiranyakashipu's plan to become immortal, which is everyone's plan in the Mathura world, because nobody wants to die. And we're on text 15 and 16. So it should be Nadadrisha. Not Sringatam. Oh, I see. That was from this one. Okay. Tanya. Na Dadasha Pratichanam Dasha Pratichananam Valmika Trina Kichakai Valmika Trina Kichakai Pipilikabir Achiran Pipilikabir Achinam Vedas Twan Mamsa Shonitam Vedas Twan Mamsa Shonitam Tapantam Tapasa Lokan Tapantam Tapasa Lokan Itabra Pihitam Ravim Itabra Pihitam Hitam Ravim Vilaksha Vishmita Praha Vilaksha Vishmita Praha Hasams Tam Hangsa Vahana Hasams Tam Hangsa Vahana Nadasha Prachitananam Valmika Trinakichakai Pipilika Archinam Vedas Twan Mamsashonita Tapantam Tapasaloka Yata Prapihitam Ravan Vilaksha Vismita Praha Hasangstam Hangsavahana Nadada Shapachitala Vamika Trinakichakai Pipilika Biachina Vedas Tvam Mamsaso Nitam Antam Tapasaloka Yata Brapihitam Raven Vilaksha Vismita Praha Asangstam Hangsavahana Nadada Shapachitana Amika Trinakichakai Achena Vedas Tvam Mamsaso Antam Tapasalokan Abrapihitam Ravim Vilaksha Vimishita Praha Hamsatam Hamsavahanam Na Na Dasha Oh Chanam Covered Valmika by an anthill Trina grass Chikakai and bamboo sticks Pipilikabi by the ants Archinam eaten all around Meha whose fat Twak skin Mangsa the flesh Shonatam and blood Tapantam heating Tapasa by a severe type of penance Lokan all the three worlds Yata just as Abra by clouds Apihitam covered Ravim the sun Vilaksha seeing Vismita struck with wonder Raha said the sun smiling Tam to him Hamsavahana Lord Brahma who rides a swan airplane. Translation: Lord Brahma, who was carried by a swan airplane, at first could not see where Hiranyakashipu was, for Hiranyakashipu's body was covered by an anthill and by grass and bamboo sticks. Because Hiranyakashipu had been there for a long time, the ants had devoured his skin, fat, flesh, and blood. Then Lord Brahma and the demigod spotted him, resembling a cloud-covered sun, heating all the world by his austerity. Struck with wonder, Lord Brahma began to smile and then addressed him as follows. Papa Srila Prabhupada Ki. The living entity can live merely by his own power without the help of skin, marrow, bone, blood, and so on. Because it is said, as Sango Yam Purusha, the living entity has nothing to do with the material covering. Hiranyakashipu performed a severe type of tapasya, austerity, for many long years. Indeed, it is said that he performed the tapasya for 100 heavenly years. Since one day of the demigods equals 6 of our months, certainly this was a very long time. This was on the Earth planet, wasn't it? So it would have been a long time if it was on Earth that he was doing it. It was Earth, wasn't it? Because there's the Stamba where Lord Nrsingadev appeared, and that's on Earth. Since one day, by nature's own way, his body had been almost consumed by earthworms, ants, and other parasites, and therefore even Brahma was at first unable to see him. Later, however, Brahma could ascertain where Hiranyakashipu was, and Brahma was struck with wonder to see Hiranyakashipu's extraordinary power to execute tapasya. Anyone would conclude that Hiranyakashipu was dead because his body was covered in so many ways. But Lord Brahma, the supreme living being in this universe, could understand that Hiranyakashipu was alive but covered by material elements. It is also to be noted that although Hiranyakashipu performed this austerity for a long time, he was nonetheless known as a Daitya and Rakshasa. It will be seen from verses to follow that even great saintly persons could not perform such a severe type of austerity. Why then was he called a Rakshasa and Daitya? It is because whatever he did was for his own sense gratification. His son Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old, and so what could Prahlad do? Yet simply by performing a little devotional service according to the instructions of Narada Muni, Prahlad became so dear to the Lord that the Lord came to save him, whereas Hiranyakashipu, in spite of all his austerities, was killed. This is the difference between devotional service and all other methods of perfection. Only perform severe austerities for sense gratification is fearful to the entire world, whereas a devotee who performs even a slight amount of devotional service is a friend to everyone, suhridam sarvabhutanam. Since the Lord is the well-wisher of every living entity, and since a devotee assumes the qualities of the Lord, a devotee also acts for everyone's good fortune by performing devotional service. So although Hiranyakashipu performed such a severe austerity, he remained a Daitya and a Rakshasa. Whereas Prahlad Maharaj, although born of the same Daitya father, became the most exalted devotee and was personally protected by the Supreme Lord. Bhakti is therefore called Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam, indicating that a devotee is freed from all material designations, and Anyabilasita Shunyam, situated in a transcendental position, free from all material desires. Omagana Timiranda Shayananjana Shalakaya Shakshuran Militam Jena Tasma Shigurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobastam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadata Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vas Hari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Panitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So Srila Prabhupada, as I was reading it, I was thinking of that point that Prabhupada was making in the purport, that even though Hiranyakashipu was a Rakshasa and a Daitya, a demon, he was able to perform more severe austerities than the devotees. And in comparison, how much austerity did Prahlad perform? He listened to the instructions of Narada Muni. He heard the Srimad Bhagavatam when he was in the womb. And he defeated Hiranyakashipu because he took shelter of Krishna. So it refers to Lord Brahma as being carried by a swan airplane. Everything is personal. It reminds me of the Flintstones. Have you seen that, Ashish? The Flintstones. Everything that they're using is alive. Like if he's got a tin opener, it's a bird, and it goes like that, and it goes. It's set in the Stone Age. So everything they've got is like they're using animals or little reptiles. So actually, that's. And then we use machinery, and we think we're making more advancement, but in the higher planets, they're using flowers and swans and other amenities. So they couldn't, when the Lord Brahma and the demigods came, I mean, he was already very powerful because he already had the universe under his control. He was threatening the entire universe. So that's no ordinary jiva can do that. The jiva has to be empowered by Krishna Shakti to perform those types of pastimes. So already it was a special situation taking place. And Hiranyakashipu was generating heat from his tapasya. And he was doing that on earth. So 100 heavenly years on earth is a long time. And because of that, his body had completely decomposed and been consumed. So all that was left was his skeleton, was just the bones, and the life that was spinning around inside the bones. And this must have been going on for some time because there were canes, bamboo canes had grown, and they take ages to grow. And there was grass there as well. And then eventually Lord Brahma saw him, and it was like a sun covered by the cloud. So he had his psychic form. So isn't it interesting that if you're prepared to perform austerities, what to speak, even if you're not a devotee, then you'll make a lot of progress, because that's the way the material world is set up. It's set up that if you want to just be casual and just kind of mosey along, you know what mosey is? Just moseying along. Then you won't get far, even if you're a devotee. But if you're, of course, for the demon, he wants to get far in terms of his ability to control the material energy. So the path of austerity is the way to achieve anything in the material world. Even if you're a demon, if you want to go places, then you're going to have to perform austerities. And if you are born with pious credit, then you may get a lot of facility because of austerity you performed in your past life. So the problem with that is that in this life, everything comes so easy that then you become lazy and complacent. And then, probably the worst yuga, well, definitely the worst yuga to have Sukriti is Kali Yuga. So, if you look at people's lives that are rich and famous and influential, it's usually not very good. It's usually very impious, what they're doing, Whereas if they didn't have any good karma, like if Michael Jackson was a window cleaner, he'd be alive now, right? Elvis Presley be selling hot dogs in an industrial estate. But they really misused their Sukriti, and they got themselves into a lot of difficulty. So if you do devotional service for a few years and then you give up, then watch out, because you may spend some time on the heavenly planets and you may plop back down on earth at the end of Kali Yuga. And end of Kali Yuga is not going to be a lot of fun. People will be 3 feet tall. They'll live for only 30 years. The child will be eaten straight from the womb. There'll be no vegetation on the surface of the earth. And there'll be nothing else to do except kill people. That's the only way. Kalki will come, and he'll just kill everybody. And then usher in a new age. So it's very bleak. We have a little concession for 10,000 years, and then everything goes downhill rapidly. The winter season. And there's 1,000 cycles of the yugas in one day of Lord Brahma. So nothing really, they're saying, oh, the planet's going to be destroyed. Well, they come and go. The yugas come and go 1,000 times in one day. And there's a planet still there when Satya Yuga comes in 1,000 times over. Nobody makes that much of a mess of the planet that it's not still there for the rest of and Srila Prabhupada said, because they were talking about nuclear war, he said their bombs are not as powerful as they think they are, And he said, and the demigods can just come in and clean everything up, take away all the radiation, and everything will be okay again, you know. So, although they are thinking if they drop the bomb, that it's them that are doing it, it's only if the demigods allow the bomb to have that potency that it will. So they're the ones that are really in control. So instead of voting for this leader or voting for that leader, we should be looking at the leaders of the leaders, the devas, and thinking, well, we have to appease the devas, because if you have a leader in and then there's a worldwide drought, it doesn't really matter, does it? Or if you have a leader in and I don't know how many abortions it is now, 60 million a year, I think it is, are being performed, and the leader comes in, there's not a lot he's really going to be able to do in terms of the yield that the planet is going to produce. That's going to be heavily compromised because the devas will be very upset. And the devas are upset. The devas are upset because if Hiranyakashipu takes control of the universe, then the yogis will stop. And the demigods, they're nourished by the yogis. And in Kali Yuga, the yoga that's performed is Sankirtan Yoga. So by performing Sankirtan, then the weather will improve, the food will improve, people's state of mind will improve, and the general ambience and vitality of human society, animal society, will also improve. Everything will become nourished by the sound vibration of the kirtan. The demigods will be pleased, and prosperity will rain down on all. So Hiranyakashipu is upsetting the whole system. He's put the entire universe under threat. I mean, can you imagine how powerful you have to be able to do that? I mean, if you had a bomb, right, you dropped it off, and then you were on Venus, and you said to your wife, "Did you hear that?" She'd be like, "What was that?" And you go, "Oh, they just dropped a bomb, and it's blown up the whole Earth." She go, "I didn't hear it. Sorry, I didn't hear anything." "Oh, he's going to do it to Mars now, and they'll be really quiet." "Did you hear that?" "Oh, not really, you know." And that's mega powerful bombs, right? But the universe, the entire universe, you've seen how many planets there are in the universe? If you go out and look, if you go to, one day we were in the motorhome, and I was in Huddersfield, and I hopped out the motorhome to answer a call of nature. And as you do, you know, you take in the vastness of the skies, and there was no pollution of light, no light pollution there from the street lamps. We were out in the country, and the stars looked so close to it, like you could just touch them. And there was so many, you know. And if one of those stars just disappeared, nobody would you wouldn't even notice, right? Because that a star just disappeared would make any difference to the grand scheme of things. And Hiranyakashipu is on one of those little specks in the universe, and he's able to bring the entire universe under his control. That's before he's got any benedictions. Lord Brahma has not even seen him yet. Lord Brahma can't even find where he is. So that's him before he gets his benedictions. And when he gets his benedictions, he gets a body as strong as steel. Which makes you wonder, when Lord Nrsimhadev ripped open the torso of Hiranyakashipu, it must have made quite a noise, because you can imagine what that is like. If you've got a torso that's stronger than steel, and then it's ripped open, and the intestines are pulled out. That's really graphic, eh? It's very, imagine doing a film. It wouldn't be 18, you'd have to be 18 or over, right, to watch the film of Lord Nrsimhadev, because it'd be really gory, right? You rip his intestines out, you put them over his head, and then he's just ripping this soldier's coming, and he's just ripping them to shreds with his nails. I mean, it must have been pretty messy, yeah. There's a painting in the manor, and there's quite a lot of blood on it, you know, painted blood on it of Lord Nrsimhadev with Hiranyakashipu. And there was one band that came, I think it was the Crowbacks, and they were looking at the pictures, and they saw this picture, and they were like, they went to the manor for a visit. So Lord Brahma spotted him, resembling a cloud-covered sun, heating all the world by its austerity. So as powerful as the sun. And the sun only heats the universe up to like a comfortable temperature. But he was heating the universe up stronger than the sun was. That's powerful. So Lord Brahma thought, I better pacify this guy before the entire universe goes up in smoke. So he didn't have a lot of choice, really. It wasn't like, nah, sorry, you're going to misuse everything. He couldn't afford to do that. We had to try and placate him in some way, you know. At the same time, Lord Brahma was smiling. It's referred to as, he was smiling. He began to smile because he was just so awestruck with this living entity, you know. So there was merit there. It was meritorious, but it wasn't a good. It's like, you know, if you make a bomb, it's meritorious that you've made a nuclear bomb. So you could give him the Nobel Prize because now we can kill 1 million people in one go. But it's not really meritorious in one sense. Any questions or comments?
I'm just wondering, does Lord Brahma beginning to smile? Because I guess if you see Lord Brahma, he also performed tapasya, and maybe has some like respect for another living entity who's going to that much tapasya. He understands what it is.
And Lord Brahma was performing austerity, and he pleased. It's interesting as well, isn't it, that Lord Brahma performed austerity and it pleased the Lord. And then because the Lord was pleased, he decided to reveal the spiritual world and his relationship with Lord Brahma, who he was. And I've heard two different things, but one, maybe these are different Lord Brahmas, but one anyway is that he shook Lord Brahma's hand, indicating that his relationship was Sakya. Sakya rests with Lord Brahma. There's indications of other things, but I've heard that. So then you can imagine if I give you a lump of clay and ask you to make something with it, and you've never seen anything, you've woke up in darkness, and you have a lump of clay, and then you're like, okay, well, what am I supposed to make with it? You know? But then if you see the spiritual world, then you know what a flower looks like, what the grass looks like, trees, birds, bees, and then you can start making things with the clay. The clay is the inanimate matter, and then the jivas are placed. Shishikona Dharma Bhashashikijai. The jivas lie inside the Mahatattva in a comatose state, latent in a dormant state, and then the jiva is taken and put into a material body that's been engineered by Lord Brahma. And then once you put, it's like putting a battery in the machine, and once you put the battery in, then the rabbit starts going around, you know. So that's what Lord Brahma does. He takes the batteries and he makes the machines, and then he just puts the batteries in, and then everybody goes off. But these machines are quite cool because if you get two rabbits, two toy rabbits, and you put batteries in them, and you put them inside a little pen together, and you put the batteries on, no matter how long those batteries are on, you're only going to have two rabbits. But Lord Brahma makes these rabbits, two batteries in a pen, come back in 5 years and there's 50 rabbits and more on the way. So an amazing engineer, but only because he was given the ability to see what it looks like, what a rabbit looks like, how they... so everything we're seeing here is a reflection. Like the stories of Krishna, he passes urine on the floor. So then Krishna must do that, you know. Now we do that because we have to detoxify the body. But Krishna just does it because he enjoys it. He doesn't have like tubes inside and little sacks processing it. It's just like pure consciousness. But because we're made in the image of God, then whatever we're doing, God is doing also. When God, it's described that smiling, there's different types of smiling. There's a slight smile, then there's a smile where the teeth are partly showing, then there's a smile where dimples appear, and there's a smile where the shoulders start to shake as you're laughing, There's that hasya, different levels, of smiling. Now really it doesn't make any sense that a slit in a ball of flesh on top of your shoulders that goes up at the corners indicates pleasure. But we know that it does because that's what it's like in the spiritual world. And therefore that's what's happening in it. So before we can understand the spiritual world, we have to understand ourselves, and then we can start to understand Krishna. And Krishna has particular ways of different emotional ways that he behaves and reacts. And so we also have that to some tiny degree. But yeah, Lord Brahma was smiling. He was admiring the austerity. He could see that there was going to be a pastime taking place and that this jiva was empowered, coming from the spiritual world. So, see, generally when you're in the material world, you get banged around a bit. You get knocked into that species, then into this species and that one. And then when you go to perform austerities, because you've been bashed around a bit in all these different species, then you're compromised in what you can do. But if you just directly come down from the spiritual world and take birth as something, then you're like almost full potency, because you've not been conditioned in any way or bashed about. So you're just like full on. Whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to do it really well, And they could have come down as devotees, and they chose demons. So a devotee can be a demon better than a demon. Beats a demon at his own game. Because it's a shame for all the ones that come in contact with Hiranyakashipu to get that, but then that must be their karma as well. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Is it performing austerities always like brings out heat in the universe, like fire, and um, disturbs the flow of the universe? Like we see Dhruva Maharaj also performed austerity, and he was a devotee, say, or he didn't have such malicious intention or anything like that. Yeah. And we see in Bhagavatam, he performed austerity from his toe, half of the universe trembled and like that and all. So
is suffocated.
Yeah. And even then, demigods had to approach to Lord Brahma that who is this boy? We are suffocating. Go and speak with this boy, check him out and all. That the entire flow of the universe is heavily compromised or disturbed. So is it that austerity is devotee austerity, say not devotee austerity? It's always going to be troublesome.
Well, Srila Prabhupada's life was a lifetime in preparation. And so he went through a lot of difficulty, a lot of austerity. And then eventually he came to the USA, and he was able to, he'd already strategized what he was doing. He was observing people and how they were reacting, and he was modifying. Instead of 64 around 16, instead of just men in the temple, men and women can marry, grihastas can preach, malachas can be given Brahmin, they can take sannyas. He was adjusting everything according to time and circumstance. So he performed a lifetime of austerity, and he was tuning into exactly what was necessary, what was needed to spread Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada is a special example of how austerities can be performed, which are conducive to the spreading of Krishna consciousness. But certainly the devotee disrupts the status quo. Srila Prabhupada said if they knew what I was going to be doing, they wouldn't have allowed me to come, because the whole situation and the whole system in Kali Yuga. See, Parikshit Maharaj was going to kill Kali, and Kali said, where can I stay? And he said, you can stay wherever there's gold. So wherever there's an accumulation of wealth, there'll be illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. So if you want to drive out Kali, then all the money goes, all the money disappears, because that's what they're making the money out of: illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. So if you stop those things, then all the money disappears as well. So you threaten that whole system that's set up, that whole materialistic system that's set up like that. So it disrupts the whole status quo, the whole monopoly they have over people, people's minds and their desires. Everything starts to change. People become purified, and they want healthy food. They want to live sustainably. They want transparency and leadership and accountability. They want to know, what is the effect of this drug that I'm putting in my body? How does this vaccination come about? What are the side effects? They want full transparency. They want to know all these different things now. So there's a heightening of people's consciousness and their level of discrimination. So people are starting to wake up now. And Prabhupada was the one that did that, that agitated the social body to start to wake up and question things and look at things. And he said the books are the poison. He said, my books have entered the bloodstream now. My brainwash books, he said, have entered the system of society. So the poison has entered the bloodstream, and now the effects will take place. So the more we can put the poison in the bloodstream, the more the effect will take place. So yeah, Dhruv Maharaj, people were suffocating, the entire universe was suffocating, the demigods came and they would say, you have to do something quick, I'm going to die, I can't breathe. So Lord Brahma came. So when I first heard that, I thought what was interesting about that was that, Krishna has a sense of humor, and Dhruva is his pure devotee, so he gives him all this power, and then it upsets everything, because the demigods are just kanishtas, They're devotees, but they have material desires. So every now and again, Krishna just likes to shake them up a little bit, so they become a bit more dependent on him, because they're only casual the way they worship Krishna, they know he's God, but they're having plenty of fun up there as well. And Krishna's just a side issue. And every now and again, Krishna just upsets everything. And then, oh, Krishna, please, oh, you are the Supreme Lord. Kind of wakes them up a bit, And he does that with devotees, and he uses also demons to do that as well, to shake everything up, so that people will, again, take shelter of him, in adversity, calamity. When there's calamity, then we're forced to take shelter. And like the Bhagavad, Srila Prabhupada makes the point, better not to be forced to take shelter due to calamity, but better just to take shelter, just to voluntarily take on the austerity and avoid having to be prodded by the Lord through a demon or through a devotee to wake you up, make you take things more seriously. But that is the material world is the educational system for the errant jiva to reform. And one way or another, Krishna is trying to teach us to get out of the material world once and for all. Make this your last lifetime. Hare Krishna.
In the poem you're reading at the start of class, Prabhupada, he's saying that you're most insignificant and most unfortunate servant.
Beggar.
Beggar, right, yeah.
Beggar.
I just wonder if you can make, especially most unfortunate, I can't quite work that one out. Why should the mood of the devotee be that they are most, because we could say, well, maybe he doesn't want to be here, whatnot, but he's got a good service opportunity. So why is Buddha feeling unfortunate?
Enough, I'm reading Vilakusamanjali right now, and Raghunath Das Goswami is feeling the same way. So, and it's interesting because devotees may think, oh, I think I'd like to lead Vilakusamanjali, but I'm just reading the section now, it's in volume 2. She was given some really heavy statements about qualification for reading Vilakusamanjali. You need the permission of your spiritual master, which means you'd have to be initiated. And he describes how your qualification for reading the Bhagavatam is according to your freedom from sex desire. So first 2 cantos, then as you become free, then you're more eligible. And the Vilakusamanjali is like 10th canto, confidential pastimes. But he says if you have faith in prema, Vikriditam Brajavadabe idam cha Vishnu, Shradan Vito Nishunayad Atavanayadya, Bhaktam Param Bhagavate Patilabhik Alman, Hidrogam Ashvapa, Hinoti Acharena Deda. If you have faith and you hear or describe these pastimes, then you become sober and you become free from hidrogam, the lust in the heart. So that's your qualification. However, what happens is when a devotee is in prema, he's experiencing that, then he experiences extreme humility, and because he relishes his swarup and his relationship, and then after a certain period of time, he's having a conversation. Right? Raghunath Das Goswami is Rati Manjari speaking with Radharani, and she's talking with him, and suddenly Radharani's voice trails off, and Raghunath Das Goswami comes back into a stadika form, and he's asking Radharani a question, and he's waiting for her to answer, and then he realizes that she's gone to be with somebody else, and then he feels the most unfortunate. See, if you only have 50p and someone takes it away, then you can feel unfortunate. But if you have 50 million pounds and someone takes it away, then you feel the most unfortunate. So what do people lose in the material world? They lose their auntie, they lose their hedgehog, they lose their phone, and then they feel most unfortunate. But if you lose the association of Radharani or Krishna, then you feel the most unfortunate. Because is the greatest wealth, is the highest thing. And then you lose that, Ripalamba. Then you go into separation. Lord Chaitanya was saying every moment seemed like 12 years or more, because he was feeling so unfortunate bereft of the association of Krishna.
And so is like sadhakas on the practicing platform without experiencing anything close to this. Would you say it's better for us to appreciate how fortunate we are? Appreciate the fact that we've been given access to the mercy, that we've got the association of pure devotees, etc.
I don't know if you've noticed. How long have you been a devotee now? Oh, trying. We're all trying, aren't we? For the last 4 or 5 years. Don't know if you've noticed, but what happens is as you're practicing Krishna consciousness, sometimes you're chanting and it's really, really clear. It's really, really obvious that you should chant and you should hear. And it's so simple. And then you try to do the same thing the next day, and suddenly it's just like there's nothing there anymore. It's like you're saying Krishna, but it just feels like mundane sound. You're trying to meditate on Krishna, you can't fix your mind, and it's so difficult. And you feel so. You're thinking, how long is it going to be before I'm able to be allowed to hear the name and connect with the name? And then you're just biding your time, waiting, and then suddenly Krishna just steps in again, beyond your control. Just whenever Krishna decides out of a sweet will. And we're in a really dependent situation where we can't control Krishna. We could have chanted 192 rounds yesterday, and it was absolutely amazing. But today when we get up, just like Sankirtan, you had a great day the day before, but the next day when you go out, the bag's empty. Well, it's full of books, but there's no money down the side. It's a fresh day. And you could go up to somebody and say, take this book, because I'm the biggest book distributor in the world. And yesterday I collected £1 million. No, I don't care. And you've got nothing. So every day is like that. One day you may have been very fortunate and you may have had Krishna's association. And then you go up the next day. So sometimes our chanting is really good, and we think, okay, I'm going to chant like this. And we try to chant like this the next day. But it just doesn't seem to be working at all. Yesterday I was just meditating on this point, and I was enthused about this, and then I started to chant, and it was really deep and absorbing, and now it's just like I'm hitting a wall. I just can't seem to get through. I can't penetrate. It's a nice word that's used in the purport. It says that by his austerities he was able to penetrate. So, generally if you're in a big bubble and it's got a big thick rubbery side around it and you're trapped in it. You're trying to penetrate through that membrane to get into this other realm. Then penetrate is a good word, because you have to be austere. You have to push. You have to be sharp and focused if you're going to penetrate. Otherwise, if you're just going up to the membrane and just, oh, this is too difficult. Oh, I can't be bothered with it. I don't feel like doing this. You're not going to go through. You're not going to break through. So we also feel we feel as unfortunate as we can, because we're in the neophyte stage, in the beginning stages. So when we do get some fortune, we're not getting full-on darshan, but certainly we have moments of clarity and feelings even of blissfulness. We may be in a preaching program or at a feast or in some kirtan. Some amazing devotees leading the kirtan, and we suddenly get this epiphany. Everything's some clarity there, and everything's like, wow, this is so clear and so easy, you know. And then according to how much taste we get is how much unfortunate we feel when that taste is taken away, when we lose that taste. We lose that glimpse. The more vivid the glimpse, the sadder when we lose it. So we go from fortunate and feeling most unfortunate, and then feeling really, really fortunate, and really, really most unfortunate. No, really. And that's Sri Rama refers to this separation and meeting. It's even Krishna, and 1 minute Krishna's got Radharani and he feels so fortunate, and then the next minute it seems impossible, and then he feels so unfortunate. And Sri Rama compares it to the movement of the sea, the ebb and the flow of the sea. This is the whole dynamic of the way things are in the spiritual world, meeting, separation. And that's separation, that vipralamba, is that feeling of feeling distanced from the goal you're trying to achieve, and then feeling very unfortunate because of that distance. And if you give up, it's such a sad thing to do that, to give up, because that is the precursor to the next moment when you'll meet. And because this is so intense, you're feeling so intensely separate and so unfortunate, and then you decide to give up. It's such a shame to do that, because that's going to be, it's like, if you pull something on an elastic band, and then the guy just hops off the elastic band and says, oh, this is too much for me. And he's going to miss, because you just hang on a minute, you're going to get flicked like anything, It's like if somebody goes up to a diving board, right? They just walk up to the diving board and they just plop off. Splop. It's like, okay. But if he goes into the diving board and he jumps up and he bounces, the diving board right down, he goes. So that's what Krishna, when you're going down, stick with it, because it's going to be going up pretty soon. And the more you're feeling down and unfortunate, the more you're going to be going when things go up again. But if you keep giving up when it goes down, oh, I can't be bothered doing this, and you just keep hanging around, then you miss what's going on. Krishna's getting you ready for another projection.
I like this analogy, but in terms of like the early stages of practicing sadhana bhakti, oftentimes we're feeling down, disconnected from Krishna, etc., just because of an inability to rise above the modes, to rise above the mind, because we're making so many offenses. These sort of things, so can we compare them? They're not the same as separation from Krishna. Like Raghunath Das Goswami, he's feeling separation, but that's genuine separation. Whereas if you're just simply you're committing so many offenses, you're very much in the mode of ignorance, etc. It's not on the same level.
Level, it won't be on the same level, definitely, but it will be the same dynamic. But we have a spectrum of progress from black to white, and we're in some intermediate stage. So somebody is darker than us, and somebody is lighter than us. So the darker for somebody else, like take Jagai and Madai. When somebody threw a stone at their body, the pain they felt was a relief from the suffering they were feeling, from the remorse. Because their regular program, their evening program was, you break into the house, you kill the father, rape the daughter, and take all the money. And then they became branches of the Chaitanya tree, Mahabhagavats. Can you imagine what it must have been like to have remembered what you did? So they were feeling so completely wretched and ashamed of the way that they'd been, that when somebody threw a rock at them, because when they became pure devotees, not everybody accepted them as that. Some of them still remembered what they'd done, you know, so they wanted to punish them. When the rock hit their body, then they felt some relief. Oh, somebody's hurting me, I deserve this. And they were feeling relief from the remorse, you know. So, yeah, in an immature stage, we may be making offenses and not practicing Krishna consciousness properly. The 3 A's, anatta, avidya, and aparad. They're the 3 A's that cause the problem, and then sometimes we're free of those 3 A's and we suddenly have a good day. See, when we all come to Krishna consciousness, we get some amazing glimpse, some amazing taste, irrespective of where we've been at and what we've been doing. We've been totally immersed in the material energy, and now we're coming out of the material energy. And so still there'll be some tendencies there toward those 3 A's, those 3 bad things that we were involved in to one degree or another. But because now we've taken up devotional service, I read a really powerful thing yesterday, Bhava Bhakti, and it was just so powerful. Krishna is on our side because we're trying to love him. I mean, can you imagine that? If you say you were a pop star, right? And you were like really super cool, and then there was somebody trying to love you, even though they were a bit of a numpty. But you'd be thinking, well, it's really good that they're trying to love me anyway, you know, despite all that. So Krishna is on our side. We're trying to love him. And we make mistakes, we make offenses, we do all different things. But Krishna doesn't hate us for that. Because Krishna knows that that's not really us. He knows what we are. He knows our swarup. He knows what we were created for. And he can only get a particular unique pleasure from us that he can't get from anybody else. Only we can fulfill the post of being us. Nobody can be you better than you. So Krishna can see all that latent, dormant potential in you, and he sees you making mistakes as well, but he doesn't hate you for it. He's still trying to... See, what happens is we have a mental idea of who we think Krishna is, and then when we do something, make some offense or do something, we project our mental conception that Krishna probably really hates us now. He's probably... But it's just our minds that are saying that about Krishna. Krishna's not like that. He's just like... He doesn't even kill demons. Krishna doesn't even kill demons. He doesn't get angry with anyone. He just loves everybody. But he's protected by his devotees. Or his expansions take over and they deal with the nasty stuff. Krishna doesn't. He's just, all he's interested in is loving exchanges. And we have this hellfire and brimstone conception hanging over us that actually, if you upset God, then he'll come down on you like hellfire and brimstone and cast you into the lake of eternal fire. So because of that, people are afraid, they're scared, you know. And then our own minds react like that against us. And therefore we can become discouraged. And after you've done puja, there's mantras, mantrahinam krainam, bhaktihinam jinardana, yapujitam mayadeva, paripanam tadastume. There's a whole lot of prayers that you say at the end of doing puja. And you're asking the Lord, please forgive whatever offenses I have made knowingly or unknowingly. And you are my only shelter, just as the ground is the only shelter for one who has fallen, so you are the only shelter for one who offends you. So even if you do make some mistake, who else is there to take shelter of? If you slip and fall, there's nothing else to fall on except the ground. And the ground is Krishna. It's not that the ground says, oh no, that was really bad. The way you fell was so stupid, I'm sorry. I'm going to fall away from you, and you're going to fall now, but you're just going to keep dropping for millions of years. The ground's just there for you, right? Doesn't hold it against you that you slipped. So yeah, this is a dynamic, an absolute dynamic that takes place whether you're at the very beginning stages of bhakti or whether you're at the highest levels of bhakti. That dynamic is always there. The devotee always feels humble. He always feels very unfortunate, very lowly, and very unworthy. It's just that when Srila Prabhupada feels like that, it's an exalted expression of pure love. And when we feel like that, it's an expression of a very heavily conditioned jiva, compromised very severely by the material energy. But it's still in its seed-like form. It's still there in its seed-like form. It's just a question of that potential blossoming into something more wonderful and more profound. Oh, we've gone over time. ISKCON Govinda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanand. Sorry about that.
His Grace Adhoksaja Krishna Prabhu ki.
All of you ki Jai.